Students, in this video, let us discuss all the essential elements of a valid contract. Now, these essential elements are discussed under section 10. Section 10 doesn't cover all these 11 elements, but I have framed it from exam point of view. Okay, so the answer in these 11 points is considering if the question is asked in the exam, what are the points that you are expected to write? So from the exam point of view, I have framed a question containing these 11 elements. Section number 10 is very important for us. Yes, we need to remember this. The first essential element is that we need two parties to form a valid contract. So minimum two distinct parties. See, I've also highlighted the keywords. I need minimum two distinct parties to form a valid contract. Now, what is the meaning of the word distinct? Distinct means separate. Distinct means separate. I need two separate parties to form a valid contract. One who gives the offer and the other person to whom the offer is given. You can also say one who gives the offer, the offerer, and the other person, offeree. You can't give the offer to yourself. Will you buy my car? Yes, I will buy my own car. That's not possible, no? So we need minimum two persons to enter into a valid contract. So the first element is two parties. Now, what are we going to do to remember these points? Students, law is a new subject. You're studying it for the first time. It is a little different to remember. There are many words like distinct. It should be there in your answer. So how will we memorize? I will teach you the technique, okay? Bring a notebook. Bring a notebook, a pen, highlighter, okay? I'll wait for you. Bring a notebook and let's take down notes, okay? Let's make notes for last minute revision. Now, these are the points which you will find in my slide. I have written everything in brief. You can read the entire answer from the notes later, okay? From the textbook, you can read it later. So now quickly get a notebook and let's take down notes. I'll wait for you. I hope you paused the video. Yes? Okay. Now that you have a notebook, give the heading as the essential elements of a valid contract. This is not a childish activity, okay? Don't avoid this. Don't say, how does it matter if I don't write? I'm still going to remember. These are such easy topics. This is just one sentence. How difficult is it to remember? No, my dear students, please trust the technique. Okay? So give the heading as the essential elements of a valid contract, section 10. Two parties, write down, give the heading as two parties. Then write that we need minimum two distinct parties to form a valid contract. Okay, so two distinct parties required. Write down the meaning of the word distinct. It means separate. If you want, you can also write offer cannot be made to yourself. Yes, you cannot give offer. Sorry, you cannot give offer to yourself. Offer cannot be given to oneself. You cannot give it to yourself. Write this. Done? Okay. You can always pause the video, students, because I'm not going to wait for a long time. Pause the video, write it, and again start. Okay, I'll just wait for some time so that you can pause the video, restart it, and you don't miss out on something that I'm saying. The next essential element is that there must be proper offer and acceptance. Now, before we discuss this element, can you tell me what is the equation of contract? We had studied this in the last video. What is the equation of contract? Excellent, students, brilliant. It is agreement plus enforceability. But if you said that contract is offer plus acceptance plus enforceability, I will accept that also. It is correct. So it means that to make a valid contract, I need an offer, I need acceptance, and I need enforceability. Only when these three elements, they come together, it forms a valid contract. So can I say to make a valid contract, the first thing that I require is an offer? Offer is the starting point of contract. No offer, no acceptance, no contract. Only when you give the offer, the other person will be able to accept it, right? So you give an offer, the other person accepts it, there is enforceability, only then it will become a contract. So to make a contract, the first element is offer. Offer is the starting point of contract. And this offer must be properly communicated. Only when the other person comes to know about the offer, he will accept it. That day I was walking on the road. My neighbor called me, hey, listen, I will buy your flat. I thought, when did I give him the offer? No offer, no acceptance, no contract. This offer must be communicated. Only when the other party comes to know about the offer, he can accept it. Just as offer needs to be communicated, acceptance is also to be communicated. So both offer and acceptance must be properly communicated. You should communicate your offer and the other person should communicate acceptance. If there's no communication, you cannot accept that offer. Now, how will we communicate this offer or acceptance? You can use words, either oral or written. I can call that person, do you want to buy my flat? Or I can write a letter, I can write an email, or I can text on WhatsApp, do you want to buy my flat? Let's meet and talk. You can meet that person, you can meet him face to face and give the offer. Sometimes communication may be implied. Sometimes words are not used, but it is understood from either facts and circumstances of the case, or it is understood from the action of the parties, action or conduct. You can write this later. A bus is following a fixed route. It will go to station. It's an implied offer. I am going to the station. If you're interested, please hop on. The bus is an implied offer. So sometimes, yes, sometimes that communication may be either by words, oral, written. Sometimes it is by our action. We are going to discuss all this in detail subsequently. Okay, not now. As of now, just write down in your textbook. So what are the points that we discussed? Offer is the starting point of contract, and this offer must be properly communicated. No offer, no acceptance, no contract. Acceptance must also be communicated. So students, in your notebook, you will now give the heading as second element, proper offer and acceptance. Underline that, leave that line, write the explanation from the next line. Okay, like how I have written. Proper offer and acceptance, underline. From the next line, you put a bullet point or you write small 1 or A. Offer is the starting point of contract, and this offer and acceptance must be communicated. Then you can write whatever extra points that I have written with some other ink. Highlight offer because it is the starting point of contract. I'll wait for you. You can pause the video, take down notes, and then resume the video. The third essential element is that there must be intention to create legal relation. So up till now we have discussed we need two parties to form a valid contract. There must be proper offer and acceptance. The third element says there must be, yes, tell me what is the meaning of this? Intention to create legal relation. Correct. There must be intention to sue, intention to file a case. If one party defaults, other party can take action. This is nothing but enforceability. So let's say that I promise to sell my flat to you and I don't fulfill that promise. You can take action against me. All right, I give my flat to you. You fail to pay money. I can take action against you. So in this case, both the parties, they must have intention to create legal relation. There must be enforceability. Only then it becomes a valid contract. Can you tell me in which agreement there is intention to sue, intention to create legal relation? I'll give you a hint. Business commercial or social domestic? Yes, in case of business or commercial agreements, there is intention to sue, there is intention to file a case. We presume that if it is a business transaction or it's a commercial, it involves money, there is intention to file a case. If you default, if you don't fulfill your promise, I will file a case. There is no presumption in correct. In case of social or domestic agreements. What is the meaning of social? Social includes between friends. Correct. Between friends. What about domestic? It is between family members. Agreements between husband and wife. Yes, husband and wife. Between father, son, mother, daughter. There is no intention to file a case. If promises are not fulfilled, law says please sort it out on your own. Don't come to the court of law because there are so many promises which you make, and if all of them become contracts, then the courts will be full of those cases. In this, there is a case law. Balfour versus Balfour. Now, what is a case law? This is a case, the judgment of which became a provision in law. Now, students, our business law is made up of what are the sources we had discussed in the first video. The sources include English law, these judgments. Now, when this case law was fought in the court of law, there was no provision which helped the judge to give decision. The judgment of this case, it was a landmark judgment. It became a point, it became a provision in law. That is why this is known as a case law. Many judges, while giving the decision, they make use of these judgments. Like I had discussed in the earlier video, the district judge will use the judgments passed by the High Court. The High Court will use the judgments passed by the Supreme Court. They will say, referring to that case which was presided in the Supreme Court, the judgment given in that case, if we apply that, this is my judgment. Okay, so the judgment is given on the judgment of some higher court. Now, what are the facts of Balfour versus Balfour? Ma'am, do we need to by heart these facts? No. You just need to know the facts and then you can write it in the exam in your own words. And I don't think you need to explain the case laws. Mentioning the name is sufficient unless they convert this case law into a question. Then you can explain, but that also you can explain in your own words. So let us quickly go through the facts and the judgment of Balfour versus Balfour. Balfour versus Balfour. Let us go through the facts of this case. Mr. Balfour and Mrs. Balfour, they were enjoying a holiday in England when suddenly Mr. Balfour was called back to his place of work in Sri Lanka. So he told Mrs. Balfour, come on, pack your bags, we need to go back to Sri Lanka. Now, Sri Lanka was earlier known as Ceylon. To which Mrs. Balfour replied that, oh, I can't travel. I have developed arthritis. Arthritis means severe knee pain or swelling or pain in the joints. So she said, I can't travel. I have developed arthritis. The doctor has advised me not to travel. And he also says that the jungle climate of Sri Lanka is not suitable for my situation. So I cannot come with you. But Mr. Balfour said, I need to go back to my place of work. Why don't you stay in England? Mrs. Balfour says, but I don't have money. How will I continue staying in England? Mr. Balfour promised to send her £30 per month for her maintenance. After that promise, he left for Sri Lanka. But Mr. Balfour failed to send the promised amount. Mrs. Balfour got angry and she filed a case against Mr. Balfour to recover the promised amount. So what do you think, students? Who would have won the case? Mr. Balfour or Mrs. Balfour? If you say Mr. Balfour, then your answer is absolutely correct. Why Mr. Balfour? Yes, this is a domestic agreement. So, we assume that parties do not have any intention to sue. This is our assumption. It is our presumption. We assume that parties never intended to sue. They never intended to file a case. Now, why is this so? In case of social agreements, that is between friends, in case of domestic agreements between husband and wife, father, son, mother, daughter, family relations, why do we assume that there is no intention to sue, no intention to file a case, there is no enforceability? Why is there an assumption? Imagine if each and every promise between husband and wife, it turns out to be a contract, everybody will be in the jail. One day, husband promised his wife, I'll come home at sharp 6 o'clock. We will first watch a movie and then have dinner in a very nice fancy restaurant. Be ready at 6. Wife is ready since 4 o'clock. But husband comes home at 11 o'clock in the night because there was a lot of work in office, so boss was not allowing him to leave early. Can the wife say, you are late, come to the police station? Can we take the husband to the police station? No. When he promised her, did she say, if you don't come, I'll file a case against you? Or you write and give it to me. Write it on a piece of paper. Was there any intention? No. Okay, wife promised to keep the house neat and clean. She promised to take care of the kids. One day the husband came and he saw that the house is in a mess. I don't know where the kids are. Can he tell his wife, you did not fulfill your promise. Come to the police station. Can we file a case? No. Between friends, social, you tell your friend, you come on time tomorrow. We have to go for the movie. Yes, promise I will come on time. Because of him, you missed the movie. Can you file a case? You told your friend, bring my book tomorrow. I need to take down notes. He forgot. He had promised he will bring, but he forgot. Can we file a case against him? He's just a friend. Just friends. We can't file a case against friends because we never had the intention. Similarly, in this case, Mrs. Balfour never showed any intention to file a case if Mr. Balfour default. But if I change the fact a little, when Mr. Balfour promised her to pay £30, she said, wait. She ran to the room, got a piece of paper and a pen and told Mr. Balfour, write and give. Write and give. If you don't pay, I will show this to the court and I will file a case. See, when you're showing intention, writing is not compulsory, but it is a good proof in the court of law. So you tell him, you write and give it to me. You're showing intention, then it will be a valid contract. Yes, but over here, that was not the case. Then many students ask me, ma'am, what if they get divorced? Promises at the time of divorce. My dear students, when they made the promise, they were husband and wife. Mr. Balfour, Mrs. Balfour, they were married. When the promise was made, they were husband and wife. So this is a domestic agreement. Do you know something? In this case, they got divorced later on, but that fact was not relevant to our discussion. That is why I did not give it to you. They got divorced later, but the judge said when Mr. Balfour promised to pay money to Mrs. Balfour, that time they were husband and wife. So we analyze the situation at the time of contract. Later they may get divorced, we are not bothered. So here when the contract was made, they were husband and wife. Okay, another situation. What if there is a couple, they got divorced? The judge said, husband, pay 50,000 rupees to your wife. Okay, so the husband had to pay 50,000 rupees per month to take care of the wife's expenses, education of the kids, their house rent, etc. That will be a valid contract because at the time of divorce, when the husband promised, okay, I will pay 50,000, they were no longer husband and wife. That was an order of the court. Some students ask me, ma'am, what if husband beats the wife or he abuses her? He challenges her integrity. He forces her to do things without her wish. In that case, my students, it will be a case of domestic violence that will be fought in the family courts. There is no contract that I will beat you or I will abuse you. You cannot file a case under the Contract Act. Okay, so there are different courts, there are different laws for that. It will not come under Contract Act. Okay, let us go through the judgment of this case. The promise was a domestic agreement. It was when they were husband and wife. We presume that parties never intended to create legal relation. Was there any agreement that if you don't pay, I will file a case against you? No. So Mrs. Balfour could not enforce the contract. She lost the case. So students, I hope you understood the facts of Balfour versus Balfour and also why these domestic agreements have a presumption that there is no intention to sue. You please decide the situation or your case on your own. Don't come to the court of law. Don't waste our time. Just an extra point, students. Sometimes students ask me, ma'am, what about prenuptials? Now, students, what is a prenuptial? It is nothing but an agreement between spouses, that is husband and wife, that how will the assets and obligations be divided after their divorce. So when people are very rich, they don't want that in case of divorce, my property should be given to my wife, or wife is rich, she doesn't want her property to be given to the husband, or there is some agreement, okay, which they have arrived at. That is known as a prenuptial. So many foreign countries, or it's actually a Western culture, wherein marriage is treated as a contract. But in India, marriage is not an agreement between husband and wife. In fact, it is a sacred union. Our Hindu Marriage Act does not allow prenuptials. So legally speaking, prenuptials is invalid in India because marriages are not considered as a contract. And divorces are also still quite governed by the personal laws like the Hindu law or the Muslim law. So divorce cases are basically governed by their personal law. So prenuptials, they are not valid in India. So that was an interesting case law. Now, students, please pause the video and please write down the third essential element, intention to create legal relation. Please pause and write this in your notebook. Done? Very good. So up till now, we have discussed three essential elements, two parties. We need minimum two distinct, different parties to enter into a valid contract. There must be proper offer and acceptance. Can you read it from the notes? Yes, can you read it from your notes? Offer is the starting point of contract and offer acceptance must be properly communicated. There must be intention to create legal relation. If one party defaults, continue, other party can take action. Let us discuss the fourth essential element, which is free consent. Consent is defined under section 13, and free consent is defined under section 14. So consent is defined under section 13 and free consent is defined under section 14. We will first study and understand what is consent. Consent means that parties must agree upon the same thing in the same sense. There is a Latin phrase, consensus ad idem. Now, what are these Latin phrases? Well, our English law is also inspired from the Latin law. So our Indian law inspired from English law inspired from the Latin law. Latin law is very old. And there are these Latin phrases which help us to understand the concept. So we have included the good ones in our Indian law. Are they asked in the exam? No, they are not asked in the exam, but yes, you can quote them in the exam. They will add a lot of value to your answer. Now, these Latin phrases, they are scattered in the notes. How do we remember them? On the last page of your notebook, you will prepare a list of Latin phrases. As soon as we come across a phrase, you will include it in the list of Latin phrases. Okay, so go to the last page of your notebook, divide the book into not two equal parts, but the left part you will write. First, give the heading, list of Latin phrases. Okay, go to the last page and write down list of Latin phrases. On the left hand side, write down the phrase, and on the right hand side, write down the meaning or the translation. So you will write down the Latin phrase consensus ad idem. Okay, so write down. On the right hand side, you will write parties must agree upon the same thing in the same sense. So write down parties must agree upon the same thing in the same sense. That is the meaning of the Latin phrase. So whenever you come across a Latin phrase, you will include it in the list. Done? Okay. So parties must agree upon the same thing in the same sense. Do you want to buy this pen for 5,000 rupees? You say, okay, give it to me. Now we are agreeing upon the same thing in the same sense. I show you the pen. You are also answering, keeping this pen in mind. So my offer and your acceptance is like a mirror image. Whatever I am showing you, you are responding to that only. We have consented. So the same example is displayed over here. X asks Y, do you want to buy this pen for 50 rupees? He says, okay. They are agreeing upon the same thing in the same sense. They have consented. Do you want to buy this mouse for 500 rupees? You say, okay, I will buy it. We are agreeing upon the same thing in the same sense. It's like a mirror image. We have consented. Students, pause the video and write down the meaning of consent. I will also discuss one more example, but then that is on the next slide. So I don't want you to miss out on the notes. Write down the fourth element. Consent is defined under section 13. Free consent defined under section 14. And you will write down the provision. Done. Okay. Let us discuss one last example of consent. Let's say that every day I come to class in a Mercedes car. I don't, but let's just assume. Let's assume that every day I come to class in a Mercedes. One day I come to class and announce that I wish to sell my car for rupees 1 lakh. Anyone who's interested in buying, please bring the money tomorrow and the car is yours. Many students were interested, but the student who got the money first, I handed over the key to him and I said that the car is parked downstairs. He ran and he saw a Maruti 800. I have two cars, Mercedes and Maruti 800. When I made an announcement in the class, I said I want to sell my car for rupees 1 lakh. Which car? That was not specified. I always had the Maruti 800 in mind. But you thought that because I come to class in a Mercedes, I am talking about Mercedes. The offer is about Mercedes. Are we agreeing upon the same car in the same sense? No, we have not consented. I am thinking about Maruti 800 and you are thinking about Mercedes. This is not a mirror image. It's not a valid contract. We have not consented. The other requirement is that consent must be free. No one has forced you to enter into contract. You are giving your consent out of your free will, free wish, desire. I want to enter into contract and I'm doing it willingly. Nobody has forced me to do it. So consent must be free. You must enter into a contract willingly, without any force. Okay, I'm doing it by my wish. It's my desire to enter into contract. Nobody has forced me. But consent is not free when it is caused by, when it is obtained by coercion, section 15, undue influence, section 16, fraud, section 17, misrepresentation, 18, and mistake, 20. We also have 21 and 22 that we will discuss later. We can't see section 19. Well, the section is absconding for the time being. We'll try to find it later. So coercion, undue influence, fraud, misrepresentation, and mistake. Now, students, we are going to discuss this in detail in Unit 3. So I'm not discussing anything in detail now. We are just going to discuss the meaning of these terms. So consent is not free when it is caused by coercion, section 15. Okay, now, students, do one thing, pause the video and include the list in your notes. See, we have to do this. Don't feel that, ma'am, why are you making us write? That's the only way to remember law. So pause the video and write this list. Consent is not free when it is caused by. Pause the video. All right, done. Then let us discuss coercion, section 15. Coercion means there is either threat or physical force is used to cause the other person to enter into contract. I am either threatening you or using some kind of physical force to cause you to enter into contract, to force you to enter into contract. Let's say that Don wants the house of Y. So he says, sell me your house or I will kill you. He's threatening. Y says, many people have asked me to sell the house. I'm not scared of people like you. I don't want to sell the house. Get lost. Then Don called his friends. I hope you understood. They started beating Y. Y got scared. Oh my God, they are hitting me. I think they will kill me. I'm ready to sell my house. I'm ready to sell my house. So he got scared. First he said, I will not sell my house. Then they started beating him. And he said, okay, I will sell my house. I will sell my house. What is happening in this case? Is his consent free consent? No. We are using threat or some kind of physical force. Why? To cause the other person to enter into contract. This is nothing but coercion. Consent is not free. It's not a valid contract. Please pause the video, write down the meaning of coercion. Let us write down the meaning of coercion. We are going to take down notes for all the essential elements of a valid contract. All right, done. So there is some kind of threat. He says, sell me your house or I will kill you. He says, no, I'm not scared of you. I will not sell. Then Don started beating him and he agreed to sell the house. This is coercion. Next, we have undue influence, section 16. In case of undue influence, there is some kind of moral or mental pressure between persons whose relations are such that one person is in the position to dominate the will, the wish of the other person, the desire of the other person, and force him to enter into contract. So there is some kind of moral or mental pressure between persons whose relations are such that one person can easily dominate the will of the other person and take advantage of the other person. Best example, doctor-patient. Their relation is such that doctor can easily influence the patient. Doctor tells the patient, you're suffering from a very deadly disease. Actually, nothing had happened to the patient. He's just scaring him to get money. Doctor tells the patient, I think you will die. Patient says, no, doctor, please, I don't want to die. Please save me. I don't want to die. Doctor says, okay, I will save you. Take this small bottle of medicine costing 15,000 rupees and you will live. Patient consumes the medicine. I will live. This is undue influence. Actually, nothing had happened to him, but he got scared. No, the relation is such that we tend to get influenced by the dominating party. Teacher, student. Always remember, teacher is dominating. No further discussion. Another example. Parent and child. Who is dominating? Yes, undoubtedly, parent is dominating. Okay. Now, the example which I'm going to discuss is very interesting. Please pay attention. Parent gave the child 10,000 rupees. Oh, I wish. Now, parent tells the child, don't consider this as gift. Consider this as a loan. You are a grown-up person now. You earn, repay this money. Child is also, he is also charged up. Yes, dad, I will repay this money. I'm an independent boy now. Parent says, prove it and show it to me. Child says, yes, dad, I'm ready to prove it. Tell me, what do I need to do? Parent says, beta, sign this piece of paper. Child also signs that piece of paper. It is bond to pay a rupees 1 lakh. He got a bond signed wherein the child agrees to pay rupees 1 lakh. Now he signed without even reading what was written in that document. Undue influence. Dad only added 1 0. Undue influence. The relation is such that one party can easily influence the other party. Now, students, before we proceed, can you point out the difference between coercion and undue influence? Yes, can you point out the difference between these two terms? What is the difference between coercion and undue influence? There are many points of difference. I just want the main point. What is the difference? Yes, correct. In case of coercion, there is some kind of either threat or physical force. Whereas in case of undue influence, there is moral or mental pressure. There is one more point of difference. Absolutely right, students. I know I cannot hear you, but I can feel your answers. In case of coercion, no relation is required. I can force any person. But yes, in case of undue influence, some kind of relation is required between the parties. Only then one can influence the other party. There is some relation. Now, this relation is not blood relation. No. It is not blood relation. Any kind of relation. Like there was blood relation in case of father and son, but it is not blood relation only. Any relation like teacher-student, doctor-patient, spiritual advisor and devotee. Any kind of relation wherein one person is in the dominating position. Please pause the video, take down notes. Write all this in your notebook. Okay, you're ready. Next we have fraud. Okay, I'll change the slide. Next we have fraud. Section number. Yes, can you recall the section number for me? Very good, students. Section 17. If you don't remember, refer the notes that you're just making. In case of fraud, there is false representation of fact made willfully, intentionally. I am giving false facts intentionally, willfully, with the intention to cheat, to deceive the other party. My intention is to cheat, deceive the other party. This is fraud. So there is false representation of fact. It means I am saying, I am giving false facts intentionally. In simple words, person is lying. He is knowingly giving false facts, intentionally or knowingly. He knows what he's saying is false. His intention is to cheat, to deceive the other party, to force him to enter into contract or run away with his money. Please pause the video, write this, and then I will discuss the example because I need space. Finished writing. Okay. A and B, they were admiring the Taj Mahal. They said, what a beautiful structure, and it is with us since many years. When they said it is with us, it means with India. But a foolish person, X, was standing nearby and he said, this is yours. This Taj Mahal belongs to you. A looked at B and winked. We have found a scapegoat. Yes, this is with us since many years, but we hardly stay in India nowadays, so we cannot take care of it. Do you want to buy it? We will sell it to you only for 5 lakh rupees. Foolish X bought the Taj Mahal. Now in this case, they are giving out false facts intentionally. This is nothing but fraud. Then what will be the remedy in this case? Find them, file a case against them for fraud, try to recover your money. It's not a valid contract. It's not a valid contract. Next we have misrepresentation. Section 18. Misrepresentation means, yes, there is false representation of facts, but it is made innocently, without any intention to cheat, to deceive the other party. Yes, there is false representation, but I'm doing it innocently. I'm not aware that what I'm saying is false. I think what I said is correct. I believe it to be true. I'm not aware that the facts which I'm giving are false. I believe them to be true. I'm innocent. I don't have any intention to cheat, to deceive the other party. This is misrepresentation. Students, what is the difference between fraud and misrepresentation? Tell me. Both involve false representation of facts. Yes, but in case of fraud, we are giving false facts intentionally. Whereas in case of misrepresentation, I am giving the false facts innocently. Here my intention is cheating. Intention is to cheat or deceive. Deceive means cheating. Whereas in misrepresentation, there is no intention to cheat or deceive. No intention to cheat or deceive. Please pause the video, write this, and then I will discuss the example. All right, done. Next. Mr. X was the owner of a sweets mart. Okay, he had a shop wherein he sold sweets. One day, Mr. Y comes to him and says, I want sugarless sweets. Now this guy, X, he did not know English. So he called his helper, Chotu, come here. What are sugarless sweets? He asked in Hindi. ये sugarless मतलब क्या? Chotu thought. Sugarless means come sugar, less sugar. So what did Mr. Y ask? He said, I want sugar less sweets. Now the actual meaning of sugar less is sugar free. But his helper thought sugar less sweets means sweets containing less sugar. So he said sugar less means sweets containing less sugar. So X gave sweets to Y which contained less sugar. Now Mr. Y had acute diabetes. He took the sweets, went home, he consumed the sweets and his diabetes shot up. Can he tell X that you have committed fraud on me? Is it fraud? Tell me students, is it fraud? Or is it just a simple case of misrepresentation? Yes, it is misrepresentation because there was no intention to cheat or to deceive the other party. In this case, contract is not valid. You can get back your money. You can ask him to pay for the hospital bills, but that damages are generally not recoverable because he's innocent. But you can definitely ask him to actually provide you with sugar-less sweets. Okay, so you can insist that now you give me sugar-less sweets. So that is misrepresentation. The last is mistake. Section 20, 21 and 22. What is the meaning of mistake? Mistake means it's an erroneous belief concerning something. I have made a mistake in understanding the terms of the contract. There is some mistake in my understanding. Okay, there is an erroneous belief concerning something. Let us understand this with the help of an example. Then we will write down notes, okay? Let's say that X offers to sell his horse to Y. So X offers to sell his horse to Y. He says, do you want to buy my horse? Y agrees. Now they see the horse and go to the office to make the contract. While they are making the contract, horse dies in the stable. They are not aware of that fact. Now they are entering into a contract for the horse which has already died. Is it possible to perform the contract? No, the horse has already died. Even if they enter into the contract, it will not be valid because how will he supply the horse? The horse is dead. Law says that you are mistaken as to the fact. Now you may argue with me, but ma'am, they are agreeing upon the same horse. No, in the same sense. Yes, they are agreeing upon the same horse in the same sense, but they think that the horse is alive. But the fact is that the horse is dead. They are not aware of the fact. They are mistaken as to the fact. Not a valid contract. Let's discuss another example. X is the owner of 3 horses, but Y thinks that he owns only 2 horses. Y tells X, I want to buy all your horses. Okay, so one day he comes and he says, I wish to buy all your horses. Now, at the time of delivery, what will happen? X, he will say, you want to buy all my horses? Picked, I have 3 horses. But Y says, oh, but I thought that you had only 2 horses. I want only 2 horses. Now, X, he owns 3 horses. Y thinks that X owns only 2 horses. You are not thinking the facts in the correct manner. There is an erroneous belief of fact. You are mistaken as to the quantity. Now, X insists that you take 3 horses, but Y says, no, I want to buy only 2. No, you said I want all your horses. I have 3 horses. Can they enter into a valid contract? Is it a valid contract? No. There is mistake of quantity. He is insisting that you accept 3 and Y says, no, I want only 2. Now, students generally ask me, ma'am, in this case, can X say, okay, you want 2, take 2. No, that will not be a valid performance of the promise. It will be a separate contract. Here, there is mistake of quantity. This contract is not valid because he thinks that that Y is asking for 3, but Y is actually asking only for 2 horses. So there is mistake of quantity. There is an erroneous belief concerning something. It's not a valid contract. It's not valid. But if X is okay, you want to take 2, then this will be a different contract. Is it clear? Now, students generally ask me, ma'am, what is the difference between mistake and misrepresentation? What is the difference between mistake and misrepresentation? Now, students, in mistake, party understands some facts which are false. Okay, there is or erroneous understanding. I think erroneous will be a better word. There is an erroneous understanding of facts. It means parties are not saying anything, but you are understanding erroneous, wrong facts on your own. Parties are not saying anything. But in case of misrepresentation, party is giving false information. Okay, they are representing. They are saying, okay, they are using words, actions. They are saying false facts. Saying, or you can say they are giving false facts. They're using words to give false facts. This is the difference between mistake and misrepresentation. In mistake, party is understanding on his own, whereas in misrepresentation, we are giving false facts. Please pause the video, write down the note for mistake, and also write down what is the difference between mistake and misrepresentation. Please pause the video. Very good. Done with the writing. Okay, now let us proceed. The next element is that parties must be capable of entering into the contract. Now, who are capable? So that is given under section 11. So capacity actually means who are capable of entering into contract. Are they competent? Are they competent to enter into contract? Parties must be competent, that is capable of entering into contract. So who are capable? That is given under section 11. Yes, it is an important section from number for exam. You need to memorize it. Major person. Major means someone who has completed 18 years of age. Yes. Now 18 is for both male as well as females. Okay. Why did I say that? Because every act defines majority, the age of majority differently. Like for Contract Act. Okay. In case of Contract Act, a male attains majority when he turns 18 years, and the same applies to a female also. But under the Marriage Act, okay, the marriageable age for male is 21 years and the marriageable age for a female is 18 years. So a female can get married when she turns 18, but a boy can get married when he turns 21. The age to vote is 18 for both male as well as female. So that is why I mentioned that the age of majority as per the Contract Act is 18 for both male as well as female. So a major person, only a major person, one who has completed 18 years of age can enter into contract. Now why? Again, we will study this in detail in Unit 3, but just to give you a reason. Law assumes that when you turn 18, you are capable of understanding the terms of the contract. You are capable of independently taking decisions for yourself. You can form judgments. You are old enough to be responsible for your actions. So that is why only a major person can enter into a valid contract. Then the person should be of sound mind. I'll just erase. Do you want to write first? Will that be better so that I can keep erasing the facts? Yes. So please pause the video. Write male, female, marriageable age, and as per the contract. And then I'll erase it and we will proceed. Okay, done. I'll just erase this part. So only a major person can enter into a valid contract. Then a person of sound mind. What is the meaning of sound mind? He is a person who can understand the terms of the contract, understand the terms, and take rational decisions. He can form rational judgments. Okay, he can form rational judgments. So only a person who is normal, sane, rational, one who can understand the terms of the contract. Sound means he should be a rational person. He should be a sane person, one who can take decisions, understand the terms of the contract. The next requirement is that the person must not be disqualified from entering into contract. So who are disqualified? Alien enemy, foreign sovereigns, ambassadors, diplomats. Convict means a person who is in prison and insolvent. Let us discuss. What is the meaning of the word alien? Alien means foreigner. Enemy? Enemy, it means he is citizen of a country with whom we are at war, actual war. But even slight tension is also considered over here. So we can enter into contract only with alien friend. We cannot enter into contract with alien enemy with whom we are at war. Our country is at war. I'm not naming any country over here. But if there is a lot of tension, if there is war, it's better not to enter. Ma'am, can we enter into contract after the war is over? Yes. You can enter into contract only with your alien friend, not enemy. Okay, what about these diplomats, foreign sovereigns, ambassadors? This includes king, queen, monarch, rulers, representative of foreign state. Everything is mentioned in your notes. No need to write down. Foreign states. They have immunity. They can enter into contract with us. They can file case against us, but we can't file case against them except with the approval, consent of the central government. Why? Imagine you have entered into a contract with the Queen of England. She fails to perform the contract. Can you put her behind bars? Can you take legal action? No, she's the queen. How can we take legal action? So they have immunity because of their status, like the prime minister, the president, the diplomats. They are our guests when they come to India. They have immunity. You cannot file a case. They are disqualified from contracting. Convict means a person who is in prison. Now, when he's in prison, how will he fulfill the terms of the contract? Like when Sanjay Dutt was in prison. You could not enter into contract with him because how will he fulfill his promise? How will he act now that he's out of prison? He's entering into contracts. He's making films. Insolvent means a bankrupt person. You cannot enter into contract with a bankrupt person. How will he perform the promise? He's insolvent. So they are disqualified from contracting. You cannot enter into contract with these persons. Now you can pause the video and take down notes. All right. The next element is that the consideration must be lawful. What is the meaning of consideration? Consideration means something in return. What is the meaning of consideration? It means something in return. And the Latin phrase is quid pro quo. Please write down this Latin phrase in the list of Latin phrase. Yes, so we are maintaining a list of Latin phrase on the last page of our notebook. Please write quid pro quo, that is the phrase, and write down the meaning, something in return. Okay, this is the meaning of quid pro quo. Write it down, write it immediately. Yes. All right. Now, see, both the parties expect something in return. If I am giving lectures, I expect to be paid. If you are paying, you expect lectures. So both the parties expect something in return. There must be consideration for both of them. No consideration, no contract. Why? Now let's say that I gave you my house for free. Then I went to the court and I said, Judge, I want to file a case. Judge said, yes, please have a seat. Tell me, why do you want to file a case? No, I was just alone at home. I was feeling bored, so I thought I will file a case. As such, I was not going to receive anything against my flat. So if you're not going to get anything in return, on what grounds will you file a case? See, if you pay me money and you don't get lectures, then there is some ground no to file a case. If you get lectures, you don't pay money. I have some ground. I have given lectures, you're not paying. There is some reason to file a case. But if you're giving the goods for free, you're not going to get anything in return. Then on what basis will you file a case? No consideration, no contract. It's just an agreement. Then sometimes students ask me, ma'am, what about gift? Now, when we give something as gift, we don't expect return gift. No, then that's an exception, students. We will discuss all that in unit 2. So there must be consideration for both the parties. Now let us understand consideration with the help of examples. X offers to sell a table to Y for rupees 5,000. X offers to sell a table to Y for 5,000. Now, if X is giving the table, what is he getting in return? What is the consideration for X? Money. So, consideration for X is 5,000, money. If Y is giving money, what is he getting in return? Table. So, what is the consideration for Y? Table. So, yes, there must be consideration for both the parties. Only then it will be a valid contract. So there must be consideration for both the parties. Let us discuss one more example. Let's say that A sells a bag of rice to B and B promises to pay 1,000 rupees. Now I won't say anything. You tell me, what is the consideration for A? Yes, if he is giving rice, he is getting money. So consideration is 1,000 rupees. And what is the consideration for B? Rice. Yes, consideration is rice. If he is giving money, he is getting a bag of rice. So that is consideration. Both the parties are getting something in return. It's a valid contract. The second requirement over here, students, is that the consideration must be lawful. What is lawful consideration? Lawful means it should be legal. It must be something which is accepted by law. Okay, lawful means it is legal. It is something which is accepted by law. The section number over here is section 23. So please write down. Lawful consideration is discussed under section 23. So lawful means that the consideration, whatever you receive, it must be legal, it must be accepted by law. Okay, if the consideration is pen, is it legal? Yes. If the consideration is a mouse, is it legal? Yes. If the consideration is rice, is it legal? Yes. Drugs? No, that is unlawful consideration. Arms, ammunitions? No, that is unlawful consideration. Will it be a valid contract? No. Consideration, whatever you get in return, must be lawful, it must be legal, it must be something which is accepted by law. The next element is related to this, but I will wait for some time in case you wish to take down notes. Both the examples which we discussed, they are given in the notes, they are printed in the notes. This was just an explanation. Finished writing? Okay. Consideration must be lawful. We discussed that. You can write it if you want. It must be lawful. I discussed that. You can add this point. The consideration must be lawful. Now let me ask you a question. Okay, tell me whether it is a lawful consideration or not. X promises to give money for a job in public office. Public office means government job. He says, I will pay. Okay, you are ready with the answer. What is it? This is bribe. This is bribe. Is this lawful consideration? It's unlawful. Is the contract valid? No. Okay. The next element is that the object must be lawful. What is the meaning of object? Object is the purpose for which you are entering into contract. That purpose must be lawful. Okay. So object means the purpose for which, the reason why I'm entering into contract, and that object must be lawful. Now, lawful object, lawful consideration, both are discussed under section 23. Why? Why same sections? Because the contract where the object is lawful, okay, so if the object is lawful, obviously the consideration will also be lawful. But a contract in which the object is unlawful, yes, the consideration will also be unlawful. Okay, so if your object is lawful, consideration is lawful, they go hand in hand. If the object is unlawful, the consideration is also unlawful. So object means the purpose, and this purpose must be lawful. X and Y. X tells Y. I'll just erase this, okay, students? X tells Y. Do you want to buy a bag of basmati rice? Do you want to buy basmati rice? X says, okay. Now, is the object lawful? Yes, the object is lawful. Is it a valid contract? Yes, it's a valid contract. Let me ask you another question. Okay, so the conclusion is contract is valid because the object, the purpose is lawful. Can I ask you one question? Object is lawful, I agreed. Is the consideration also lawful? Yes, because if the object is lawful, the consideration is also lawful. Another question. X asks Y, will you sell drugs to me? Yes. Is the object lawful? No, definitely not. The contract is not valid because the object is unlawful. Tell me, what about consideration? That is also unlawful because both these points are discussed together. So if the object is unlawful, the consideration is also unlawful. Students, please pause the video and take down notes. Also write down, this is discussed under section 23. It is discussed under section 23. If the object is lawful, consideration is lawful. And if the object is unlawful, the consideration is also unlawful. All right. Pause the video, take down notes.